Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. How are we all doing tonight? I hope everyone's doing well. It's been a while since I've done a stream on the channel. I hope everyone's doing okay. And yeah, you'll have to let me know if the levels of the mic and stuff are all okay. I've basically completely forgotten how to do a stream. I was clicking around like mad, trying to work out how to go live or anything like that. But yeah, how's everybody doing? I hope everyone's doing well. I thought that just to start with, I should probably just clarify that I don't know why, but I saw a few people talking in chat about this stream being like me announcing that I'm like quitting YouTube or retiring. Like, it's not that. I don't know where that's come from. It's definitely not that I'm retiring. I even left like some clues for the next video in the end of the X-Men video. And I've posted a tweet about like my research material for the next video. So let's get that out there to start with. I'm not retiring yet. Maybe one day, but not yet. Yeah, how is everybody? I hope everyone's doing good. That being said, this stream it's not going to be entirely nice, because basically the idea of this stream is that I thought it's been a long time since I have like gotten in front of everybody like live, and to be honest, I haven't been in front of everybody much this year, full stop. So I figured it would be cool to kind of do a stream and kind of explain in a bit more detail like what's been going on with me, not just for the sake of like you guys, the viewers, but I thought it might be nice like for me as well, like kind of cathartic for me to talk about it in some more detail, because I've been kind of like a bit like hesitant to talk about the situation. I kind of like, I'll say like, oh, I've like been going through cancer treatment and stuff like that, or like, oh, I've got my surgery, but like no one wanted to really like open up massively about it, mainly for two reasons. Like, the first being that I didn't want it to come across like I was like trying to like farm sympathy from people. I didn't want it to like come across like that. But then also, and this might sound ridiculous as well, but then also like there was sort of scandal going on YouTube to do with certain YouTubers like essentially like faking that they had cancer, and it made me quite nervous to talk about my situation, because I really just like didn't want to deal with people like, I didn't want to deal with anyone essentially like accusing me of like faking it. And even though that's like ridiculous, like why would anyone do that? But like that was, it kind of made me like, oh, I'll just keep quiet about like the situation. I won't say anything. The less said, the better. But things have changed over the last few weeks, and I felt like it would be a good opportunity to like to open up a bit more about it, like explain like what's been happening. Maybe it could be like informative for you guys, help people around you to like protect themselves and to know a little bit more about like cancer. And it could be like kind of take a load off of me in a way, because I'm kind of putting it like behind me. So yeah, so the idea of this stream is that it's like the past, the present, and the future of I finished a video game. I'm going to talk about the year, like what's happened to me. I'm going to talk about where we are right now, and I'm going to talk about what that means for the future, what that means for the future of the channel, and like my future as well, because yeah. So yeah, there'll be some. There's going to be like sad stuff in there, but the overall picture, I guess. I will say this before, just to clear things up. I don't want to be misleading either. The overall picture currently is positive, is very positive, way more positive than it has been in the past. I wouldn't have even ever like dreamt of doing this stream like 6 months ago. So yeah, so the context should be that things are good and things are going well, but I thought it would be more interesting to kind of take you through like the whole journey of my experience with cancer and like how that impacts being on YouTube and life in general, really. Yeah, just be kind of candid about it. Yeah, so I guess I'll get started. I mean, unless anyone has any like breaking questions, but I'm going to try and kind of just talk through it, and I'll kind of chat with you guys a bit. But if you're like desperately asking me questions, I'll try to like answer like where they make sense. But like I kind of do most of the talking, and I'll also like questions about like the next videos and stuff. Like I'll probably just like not respond to them just because it'll be covered. Like eventually we'll get there. So yeah. So yeah, I even done notes to help me here because I didn't want to miss anything out. But yes. So essentially, in February of this year, well, actually, I should start. It started beyond then, actually. So around about December of last year, I noticed that I had like a sort of black, like, I guess, bump, or like kind of, it looked kind of like a mole. I thought it was a blood blister, to be totally honest with you. I thought I'd bashed my leg on something, and I had like a blood blister on my knee. But blood blisters don't last for months, so it didn't go away. And so we got to February. I still had this little black bump on my knee, and it was actually starting to grow. The edges of it were looking a bit weird. It sort of had gone from being like quite a distinct dot to being kind of a bit like blurry around the edges. And so Steph, my girlfriend, was like, okay, you definitely go to the doctor just to be sure. So I was like, oh, okay, I didn't think anything of it. I thought like, yeah, whatever, like the doctor's just gonna say whatever, it's nothing, you're being a hypochondriac, so whatever. So I booked to see my GP. I don't know if healthcare works the same in other countries, but like in the UK we have what's called like a general practitioner, who's like your, I guess, family doctor who you see before you go to like hospital or anything like that. So I went to go see my one. Not that we actually have dedicated ones in the UK. Like you just get seen by a GP. But anyway, and they looked at it and they were like, yeah, bit weird. Don't know exactly what it is, but don't think it's anything to worry about. Pretty sure you can just go home. And I was like, yeah, cool, great. And as I was leaving the practice, the GP was like, oh, actually, let me just take a photo. And I'll send it around like my GP WhatsApp group and just ask if anyone has like any ideas about what this is, just so we can tell you like for definite like what it is. And I was like, yeah, cool, great, no worries. And I went back home, and as I was getting in the door, I put my key in the door and my phone started ringing, so I answered it. So it was the GP's number, and the guy was like, yeah, so we've discussed it in the WhatsApp group already, and we need to refer you for cancer treatment. And I was just like, what? Like, what? Like, within the space of like 40 minutes, it'd gone from nothing to worry about, don't worry, it's just one of them things, to we need to refer you for cancer treatment. We need to pass you over to what's called the cancer pathway in the National Health Service. And I was just like, what? Like, what? Like, what is it? What do you mean? What cancer? Like, what kind of cancer? Like, what's the situation? And the guy was just like, oh, like, we can't really like give you like more information. We need to do like the test. We need to do like look at it more closely. Yeah, basically just you just have to wait for us to get hold of you. So that was pretty intense. And like essentially from that point, from that day, I can't remember exactly what day it was. It was like the 10th of February or something like that. Things spiraled pretty badly downwards from that point. And essentially, at every turn where things could have gotten worse, they basically did get worse. So essentially, it was pretty obvious that what we later found out to be a tumor that was on my knee would have to be surgically removed. But the problem is that like waiting for your referral in this country and waiting for the surgery takes a very long time to be initially seen. And we were told that it would be about 12 to 15 weeks. Unfortunately, it struck just as anyone who's from the UK will know that, like, especially with cancer treatment at the moment, there's an enormous backlog of patients who need treatment because essentially during COVID, none of it happened. So there's like years worth of backlog for people who need cancer treatment who essentially are getting their treatment like way too late. And the dark part about it is that people are actually like dying because they're getting their treatment too late because the National Health Service is so backed up with cancer patients who should have been seen years ago. So essentially, yeah, my surgery to have the tumor removed was about 12 to 15 weeks to wait. Now the problem is that skin cancer is quite like a varied diagnosis. Lots of skin cancers are like pretty okay, like you can have them on you for quite a long time without being necessarily like super at risk, whereas other skin cancers can kill you pretty fucking quickly. So essentially we decided that we should probably just like pay to get the surgery done as soon as possible. So we basically managed to find like a private place we could get it done, where they could have the tumor removed and they could do it within 2 weeks. So obviously that like sucks to have to pay for it, and it was quite expensive. And obviously like healthcare in the UK is usually free, but yeah, so paying for it is pretty savage. Like we don't have health insurance or anything like that. That sort of stuff, it does exist in the UK, but like most people, although I think increasingly more people are getting it, but most people don't have it. We didn't have it, so we had to pay for it. Now at that point things seemed kind of okay because the consultant who was carrying it out was like, yeah, I think this is okay. This looks like a good one to have. I think removing it should be the main treatment. And they did the surgery and yeah, and it was only like a local anesthetic and stuff. And I was in there with the doctor talking to her while she did it, and she was very positive. She was like, I think honestly you're going to be okay after this. This surgery is the only thing you're going to need. It doesn't look like it's what's called like deep penetrating, so it doesn't look like the tumor's like gone down into like your leg essentially, which is like when things become really really bad. And so I was feeling really positive after the surgery. The downside is that because the surgery was on my knee, I basically couldn't like walk or really do anything for quite a long time afterwards. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to live your life without being able to bend your leg, but it's pretty unpleasant. So I couldn't sleep very easily because I could only sleep flat on my back. I couldn't shower. I couldn't go to the toilet because obviously I couldn't like really properly sit on the toilet. I couldn't even go downstairs. So it was pretty rough. Like luckily I had Steph to look after me and make sure I was all right. But it was pretty unpleasant. Like even knowing that, okay, the cancer stuff's sorted, just going through the recovery for that was pretty brutal. I think the normal recovery time for it is like, I think it's supposed to be like a week, and mine was like 4 or 5, just because it's just on a bit that like, because the thing is as well is that it's not even like a bit of your leg where you can't move it. Like at night you will just naturally move it, so it flexes like way more than it should do, even if you're trying your hardest not to move it. So like that was extremely annoying. Um, Basically, all while that was going on, we were waiting because what they needed to do was basically test what they'd removed to make sure that it wasn't a serious, like, aggressive cancer. Basically, it was one that they could remove and I would be good to go. Like, I think in something like 98% of like melanoma cases, all they do is like cut it off and that's like you're good to go. Like that's the only treatment that you need. So they were basically testing to see if that was what I had, and whether I would just be good to recover and be good. But unfortunately, the test results didn't come when they said they would come. And actually, they didn't arrive for about 3 weeks after they were supposed to. And that was because they had to be sent off to be seen by other doctors to be basically second and third time sanity checked, looked over. Because unfortunately, as it turned out, I had a kind of complicated type of melanoma that I can't remember what the actual statistics are of people that get it, but essentially it's a type of melanoma where it's essentially not clear in the normal tests how serious it is. There's elements of it that look not too bad. There's elements of it that look very bad. And that made it really difficult for the doctors to be able to basically tell me like what was happening with any speed or with any surety. And so essentially when we got the test back, the doctor essentially said, look, I know I said that it was like okay, but I don't think it is. And we need to pass you basically over to like the cancer specialist department in my city for them to take over your treatment, because you're going to need a lot more tests and potentially like a lot more surgery. And that was pretty unpleasant to hear, because by this point I was still kind of kind of convincing myself that like everything was okay, like that this was just like one of those things that happens, it's just unlucky, it's like breaking a bone or something, or getting like a really bad flu or something like that, and eventually everything would be okay. And this was kind of like being confronted with like, no, like the bad outcome is happening to you. And it was pretty tough. And I got to be honest, like at this point, my like mental health was pretty poor. I got to be honest. My anxiety was through the roof about this. My stress was through the roof. It was, really unpleasant. Like I got prescribed anti-anxiety medication like for the first time. Oh, thanks very much, Aladan. I really appreciate that. That's really kind of you. Yeah, I got prescribed like anti-anxiety medication for the first time like in my life. Like I'd never needed it before, but the kind of combination of like the fear and the intensity of the situation and the like pressure surrounding it was like really hard to deal with. It was really hard to suddenly, all of a sudden, you're living this really nice life. Like I think I have like a nice life, or had a nice life, and then suddenly you're told just like that you have cancer, and actually it's complicated and the road to recovery is going to be like long. And yeah, that was really tough. And like there was a period where I was on prescription diazepam. If anyone in the chat has taken diazepam, you'll know that it's like pretty serious, heavy duty anti-anxiety medicine that like you can't even be on it for like very long because it's so addictive. I think in this country they'll only give it to you for like a week at a time because it's so powerfully addictive. And like, to be honest, the time when I was on that medication was like pretty fine, to be honest. I felt like pretty good. Like I was just sat taking my diazepam, playing Death Stranding, like trying, like living in this tiny little world. Like my world had been reduced to just waking up, playing Death Stranding, and taking diazepam, which is not a good thing. Like that's not a good thing. But yeah, but obviously I had to come off of that because it's strong stuff. um yeah, and so eventually I had to go see my new consultant, and like things got pretty bad when I went to see her. And there's this conversation we had that like will always stick in my mind because of how fucking savage it was. But essentially, like, I said to her, like, she was talking through like what I needed to do going forwards, like scans, like more surgery, what like immunotherapy would look like, all this sort of stuff. And I just said to her like, oh, like all I need, like I can go through all of that stuff, like I'll do all of it, all of the treatment, like I'm fine to do it. All I need is for you to just tell me that like I'm not gonna die. That's the main thing. Like if you tell me that I'm not gonna die, I can get through all of this. Like all of this treatment will be fine. And she turned around to me and Steph and said like, I can't tell you that. Like the situation you're in, I can't tell you that you're not gonna die. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like hearing an actual doctor say that to you, I was just like, it was like, it's awful. It's awful. That's all I can say. It's just awful. And it was just so rough for me and Steph, like to be dealing with that, like to be dealing with being told essentially like, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen to you. Like we need to go through the process, and once we've gone through the process, we can tell you whether you're going to live or when you're going to die. But at this point, we don't know. And it's fucking awful. It's awful to try and like process, to try and like go through like being told that. Luca said, did I still appreciate the honesty? The answer to that, to be totally truthful, is no. I didn't appreciate the honesty. I would have honestly preferred to be lied to be totally honest, because yeah, it was just so rough to be. OBK, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It really means a lot to me. Thanks for the generosity. But yeah, I would have preferred to have been lied to be totally honest, because it's just tough. Like I know at the end of the day, like she's a doctor, it's her job to say like you know, the truth of what's happening to you and to make you informed. But the reality is that like I was in such a bad place and I was handling the situation so badly that I would have honestly it would have given me a little modicum of strength to get through the situation. And I think the situation for me anyway at home got worse after I was told that, because you know, I was going to bed, well, I mean, I wasn't sleeping, like I was just going to bed thinking about, fuck, like what if I actually die? Like the reality is that I'm 32 years old. There are 32-year-old people who get cancer and die. Like just, you know, there's that does happen to people. Like it's awful and it's tragic, but it happens. It does happen, and it could have been happening to me. And that was all I could think about. It was very, very, very difficult to deal with. I would say probably one of the hardest things to kind of process and deal with that I've like ever been told. But anyway, let's move on from that anyway. So so basically, Death's Hand. Thank you very much. Wait, it says Death's Hand up there, but it says Jasmine down there. Oh wait, there was two. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate that. Jasmine and Death's Hand. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much for your generosity. Yeah, it really means a lot. Like especially when I'm being so morose and negative and downbeat. It's not really like a celebratory stream. We need like the alert needs to be like more of a kind of minor key, like sad. It's too like exuberant of a sound when the donation comes through, isn't it? Like should be more kind of melancholy. Anyway, so yeah, so basically the first thing that they needed to do after that was like a full body scan to make sure that like I basically didn't have like secondary cancer in any of my other organs. And yeah, so waiting for that was like pretty savage, because yeah, because obviously I'd had the tumor on me for like 3 or 4 months. Oh, Klepto, thank you so much. And yeah, Klepto mentions the Salt Factory shout out, which was amazing. Salt is a really nice guy and has sent me some really supportive stuff during this time. And I would have been happy just like with the friendship, let alone like sticking me right at the start of one of his videos. So yeah, that was amazing. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Point is, yeah, so I had to go for this scan to see if I had basically secondary, like basically if the cancer had spread to my other organs. Essentially, like if that happens, like you're not screwed. Like you can come back from that, but like it's pretty fucking bad if that happens. Like essentially, if you have cancer in one place and it moves to another place, it's moved through. So I don't know how deep I should go into the biology of it, but basically, it's a prayer. Insert somber donation noise. Thanks very much. I really appreciate it. We'll pretend it's somber donation noise played. Let me quickly explain the biology of cancer, because that would probably help some of you to understand. I mean, maybe people know, maybe it's common knowledge, but maybe it's not. Like it would probably be interesting for people to know. But essentially, with skin cancer, what happens is you have a tumor on your skin, and then basically what happens is the cancer passes from that skin into another element of your body that that will transfer the cancer to somewhere else. So it can be your blood, but typically it's what's called your lymphatic system, which is like a system in your body designed to like drain fluid from around your body. You can get like massages and stuff to help with it. But basically with skin cancer, like that's the main thing that you don't want the cancer to get into, because it's connected to like a lot of the rest of your body, and it essentially means that like you could end up with cancer in your liver or your lungs or wherever. It can transfer from there. So you want the cancer to stay localized away from your other organs, and that's what the different stages of cancer refer to. So stage 1 is just where you have it in one place, and 2 and 3 refer to it when it's in these transitionary like parts of your body, and then stage 4 is like when it has moved to something else, and then it gets called like metastatic cancer. So yeah, so essentially the CT scan was to check if I had stage 4 cancer. So it was to see if the cancer had moved into other parts of my body. So it didn't check to see if it was in those transitory systems, so blood or my lymphatic system, but it would check my organs to see if there was cancer in them. And yeah, like waiting for that was like obviously like savage. Like waiting for like a test that's gonna confirm if you have stage 4 cancer or not is like pretty intense, and pretty awful. And like yeah, I didn't really do much while we were waiting for that. Like you just sit and wait to be told if you have stage 4 cancer or not, and it's pretty hard to deal with. But fortunately my test was negative, so which means I didn't have cancer in any of my other organs, which was really good, because that meant that like at worst I was only a stage 3 cancer patient rather than a stage 4 cancer patient, which essentially means that like even in the worst case scenario you're not going to die like immediately, which is like which at this point that was like a positive. Like it's funny because my like perspective on this is all like messed up, because like when I'd gone to the doctor for the first time and they said, oh, by the way, you have stage 3 cancer, that's devastating. But like by this point where we'd already been sat there like with the doctor saying like, we can't tell you don't have stage 4 cancer, like we can't tell you like where these things are at, to be told like, oh no, it's at worst stage 3 cancer, like you're like, oh, that's great, that's a miracle, I can work with that, like I've got something to hold on to. So in a kind of twisted way, that was like a really good positive moment, where I felt like things were maybe coming back under control. But unfortunately, after that, I wasn't really out of the woods yet, because basically I needed to have surgery on my knee again, and then have basically have part of my lymphatic system, part of my lymph nodes removed, essentially for multiple reasons. The first being like because they're the sections that are connected to the tumor, they're where the cancer could have spread to, so they need to be removed as part of the treatment basically. But then they get tested after the fact to work out like whether you've had spread, what degree of spread you've had, like that basically works out then like what your risk factor is. Like, did you have cancer in one place, or did you have cancer that was spreading into the rest of your body? Which was fine. Like I wanted to go and do it. Like that's normal part of the treatment. But basically the surgery proved to be quite complicated. So someone's asked in the chat, did I have to manage secondary lymphedema? The answer is yes. So I got something called lymphedema quite badly, which is basically where your body drains fluid to where you've had the lymph nodes removed, but you can get something called lymphatic breakdown, where your body just continually drains fluid to the site even though there's no lymph node there to process it. It's called like breakdown. And I got it quite badly. So one of my wounds was just like leaking fluid out of my body like continually, and so even though we've got that like sorted now, I still have to do, I still basically have, essentially I have like what feels like 2 like golf balls under my skin in my groin, that are just there, like these kind of hard balls, and I have to do these like massages on them in a hope that they go away, but it can take quite a long time for them to go away. But at this point I'm just happy that they're not like leaking fluid everywhere. And but that's pretty unpleasant. But actually that wasn't really the worst part of it. Unfortunately the worst part of it was that my knee, because obviously while all this was going on, I had to go through the whole process again of like, you know, can't walk properly, can't like shower properly, can't like go to the toilet easily, like can't go downstairs and upstairs. That was all happening again, because obviously they take more of the area of your knee away. They basically just do the surgery again on it. So but unfortunately about 3 and a bit weeks after the surgery, my knee tore open again. So yeah, I posted a picture on Twitter when it happened. But yeah, so essentially my knee tore open. So the scar tissue hadn't basically formed all the way down in the wound, and the top just like tore back open. It was bleeding everywhere. We had to go to our accident emergency at the hospital at like 3 a.m. and like I ended up having to like have basically like a fight with the nurse there to get them to like sort it. And it was just a complete fucking mess and a complete nightmare. And like after having healed again, I was gonna have to go through the healing process again. But unfortunately the situation got even worse, because the next day after that I went into like the hospital to the like plastics department where they stitched it back up, and they were told that they said, oh yeah, you're gonna have to wait for it to heal with stitches now, like it was done with staples the first time. But unfortunately, a week after that, the stitches tore through my wound, and essentially, as it turns out, I have basically the theory is that I've lost too much skin from having 2 surgeries on my knee for the wound to be able to basically be pulled shut, and so basically it can't be pulled shut. So it's now just being left to heal from the bottom up is what it's called. So essentially, usually when you have a wound, you imagine it's like that. They pull the skin together like that, and it heals kind of side to side. But what's happening with mine is it's being left like that, and it's healing like that up from the bottom, which takes a long time, and is pretty rubbish. So Heather asked, do I need a skin graft? So no, apparently not. Apparently the size is not big enough to warrant a skin graft. But I think the idea is that potentially the first time I had the surgery, I maybe should have had a skin graft the first time. It would have meant that I had more skin on my knee, because yeah, my knee now is like very tight and very kind of stiff, and I can't really walk very well, which is not great. I mean, I don't know if I can tip. The thing is, I did think about showing it on the stream, but I was a bit worried that I might get like demonetized. YouTube might like shut the stream off for like showing like an injury, because it does look quite gnarly. Maybe if I just show it for like 5 seconds. Oh, I couldn't really see it. I did it too quickly. I did it too quickly for you to be able to see. I should have rolled my leg over more. Probably best to just not like fiddle around with it. But yeah, so essentially short summary on my knee. So I've had 2 surgeries on it, and it's torn apart twice, and now I'm just sort of kind of like immobile. I can walk around and I can bend over a bit, and it is getting a bit better, but like it's pretty unpleasant to deal with, especially because I worked it out, and I think I've essentially been off my feet, like not able to walk for about like over 3 months now of this year. Like, getting on for like a quarter of this year, I've just not been able to like be on my feet, like walking around, which has been like shit. It's been shit. Like I'm not like a super active person, but yeah, not being able to like move around, like not being able to like take the bin out, not being able to like put like your socks on, like simple stuff like that I haven't been able to do for like a quarter of the year has just been so annoying. And the fact that I've still got to go on for longer until I get back to it is just like it's so frustrating. Like I can't explain to you guys how frustrating it is. Like the first time it tore open, I was like, oh, for God's sake. And then the second I was like, just fuck my life, I guess, I just meant to have a terrible year. But if you can believe it, the situation actually got a little bit worse, because obviously while all of the knee stuff was happening, I still needed to wait for the results of the biopsy on my lymph nodes. And to cut straight to the chase, essentially I did have cancer in my lymphatic system. Essentially, the cancer had spread from the initial site to my lymph nodes. One of the 2 that was removed. Now, this I've got to do a lot of like explaining here, because I want to be really make sure that I'm being like completely clear, because I don't want to be accused of like making up bullshit or anything like that. Essentially, what had happened was, so the spread that I had was at a cellular level, rather than I had a second tumor growing on the lymph nodes, and so that's good. So basically, I think probably the best way to weigh it up is to describe the things that were happening, along with stating whether they were good or bad. Because the problem is, by saying like that I've had cancer spread to my lymphatic system, your mind automatically goes to like the worst possible case, which is not actually what was happening. So I'll clarify a bit more. Thanks so much for the super chats as well, guys. I really appreciate it. Bortisa, Klepto, and Deshand. I really appreciate that. That's really kind of you, and especially Klepto for saying my wife is a champion. Yes, I don't think words can't describe how amazing Steph's been through this process. Like, it's been like ridiculous. I wouldn't have been able to do it without her. She's like literally an angel sent from heaven to save me. Right. So let me explain this. So cancer spread to my lymphatic system. That's bad. The cancer that spread is cellular rather than a full-grown tumor. That's good. Also, the amount of cellular spread was low. That's also good. And essentially, the thought process was, because of the initial diagnosis of it being like quite a weird melanoma that doesn't have like a straightforward like treatment plan for it, doesn't have like a clear pathway on what to do, and because the spread to my lymph node was small, they basically didn't want to immediately make me go away and do immunotherapy, because the trouble with that is, right, and I had no idea this was a thing, this might be interesting for people to learn, but with immunotherapy, when you do it, you can sometimes only do it once in your life, because the side effects of doing it can be so strong, they can damage your body in a way that means you can't take another course of treatment. So essentially, they wanted to go away and clarify whether, basically weigh up the risk of proceeding with no treatment versus doing the treatment, damaging my thyroid or something like that, and then the cancer recurring later in life, and I can't have immunotherapy then, and essentially like dying because I can't have the treatment because I've had it now rather than later. So that's like pretty unsettling. It's kind of a weird situation to be in. But yeah, I mean, yeah, to I guess finish the story, this Monday just gone, I had a call from my cancer team, I guess it is, saying that they had decided that the best course of action was to not go for further treatment and to just monitor me, and basically the risk from the spread was, it was a small enough spread that I'll be safer being monitored, and then if it recurs, having the treatment then rather than having the treatment now, and then if it recurs, not being able to have the treatment. So it's kind of a weird situation. I hope that makes sense to people, but essentially it means that I have essentially been moved from treatment to monitoring, and like I guess I am, as of now, like cancer free, but with the caveat that I need to do like years and years and years of monitoring, and I do have the possibility of like a recurrence like looming over me, and should that happen, I will then immediately need to have the immunotherapy. So yes, in short, this is good news. Yes, it is good news. But it's just quite weird because I want to explain it in a way that means I'm not like kind of like essentially being honest with you guys. Like, it wasn't like in the doctor's office we were jumping around, like crying, like leaping for joy, because the reality is that while the treatment is over, my relationship with cancer isn't over. And yeah, and it's kind of weird because then it's also like the way that it's played out is that I have essentially found out that I did have cancer spreading to my lymph node, but we're not going to do anything about that, which sounds insane. Like, that sounds like an insane thing to say out loud, but like when you understand like how immunotherapy, how like treatment of melanoma works, like it does actually like make more sense. Chardon said, what have they said about the odds of increase on cellular cancer? Are you getting 3 months checks? Yes, basically yes. So I'm being checked quite frequently at the moment, and essentially, yeah, the idea is that, well, the idea is that I do my checks for 5 years or whatever it is, and then at the end of that, there's been nothing, and I'm good to go. But yeah, it's a bit weird because yeah, it's quite strange because it's like, yeah, you wouldn't ever expect to be told your cancer has spread, but actually like that's okay, and it can be, we have the treatment available to manage the risk of that, and we're going to be on top of it. So it's quite like weird to explain. So if I don't seem like super like bouncing off the walls with joy, it's because it's like a weird situation where you like, I guess you don't have like a, you know, you see those like clips of people like ringing a bell when they're cancer free, and like the nurses are still around clapping them and stuff. Like, it kind of wasn't really like that. It's a bit odd. I do feel, but I do want to say that I do feel much better. Like, I do feel mentally much better. Physically, it's difficult because of my knee, but like it's an odd situation to be dealing with. I think it's one of these things where you just have to like get used to it, rather than you like have this big watershed moment where you suddenly feel amazing. I think it's like a process of just coming out of the bad and starting to feel like more normal, I think. So yeah, so that's where we're at. That's where that brings us up to the present. That's my story with cancer. It's been quite shit. I don't even think, to be honest, the way I've described it has really done justice to how difficult it's been, to be honest. but whatever. We don't need to like constantly go over it. All I would say is that yeah, just like check your skin, and if you notice something weird in your knit, like, go and get it checked, because the consequences of not going and getting it checked are actually really, really massive. Like, encourage your family to get checks. Encourage your family to go to the doctor to get anything they spot seen, because the reality is that if I had just left things and I had just ignored Steph and hadn't gone to the doctor, I would have had a tumor that was spreading cancerous cells into my body, continuing to do that. And who knows what might have happened had that been on my my knee for another couple of months. Like, who knows like what kind of situation would have happened. So just make sure that you're checking your skin, and you get the people around you to check it. I really, really encourage you to do that. The consequences of it are massive, and not doing it costs nothing. So Dante, it's terrible to hear you going through all that. You're so young. Keep strong, my friend. I hope you start feeling better soon. Thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate that. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much it when it comes to the health side of things. Obviously it's been really difficult, but like things are looking like quite a lot better. um and yeah, things are going okay. Like there's obviously still like big things that need to be dealt with. Like obviously my knee, like I still can't walk super easily. Like I'm still not getting around like super easily. Like right now my leg is like, you can, you're not gonna be able to see it, but like it's raised up on a thing because I can't bend it. I can't like sit properly. That's really frustrating. And also, like, weirdly, this seems like a really weird thing for like a bloke to talk about on like the internet, but like something that's really like been a really annoying downside of this is because I've been so inactive, I've like gained loads of weight. Like that's something that's like really frustrated me about this process. Like the combination of like the mental side of things, the mental difficulty of the situation, and like the just inactivity has meant that I've gained like, I think I've gained like 8 kilograms. Like it's a ridiculously large amount over the course of this year. So like my next few months, I need to like be working really really hard on um on like fixing that, because that's like a really annoying thing. Like obviously you traditionally think that like when you think of people going through cancer, you think of people losing weight because they're going through chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and mine's been the complete opposite because mine's been all surgical. It's been it's the complete opposite, so that's like really annoying, but I need to fix that as well. But that's not like a serious problem. So yeah, so Klepto asked, will this situation affect your productions? As a heavy consumer of your videos, we all hope that we can expect consistent releases. Will it be impacted? Can you let us know? Well, I was just about to get onto that, but before we do, yourself and Munt, thank you so much for the super chats. I really appreciate it. I really do. Everyone who super chatted tonight, I really appreciate the generosity. It means a lot. In particular because of the next thing we're going to talk about, which is essentially the impact of all this on the channel, which is, I'm going to be quite transparent here as well, but essentially the impact of all of this happening on the channel, there's been no other way to say it other than it's been like massive. So yeah, the impact of like the 2 rounds of surgery and the uncertainty and just the mental negativity of dealing with all this, I think I've lost months and months worth of work to like dealing with all of this. I haven't worked it out because I don't want to do that to myself, but the reality is this year on I Finished a Video Game has gone completely wrong. Like completely wrong. Every single video has been delayed massively, and the reality of the situation is that it's October and I've released basically 2 videos this year, which is very very low. Now I can already see people in chat saying like, oh, it doesn't matter, like you know, the most important thing is your health, like it's amazing that you've been able to make anything, and like that is true, but also there's the very real side effect of that this is also my job and I need to pay my bills and I need to live, and the reality is that YouTube, the loss of momentum on YouTube kind of compounds itself. So it's not like going and being on sick leave from a job where you're employed, where you go straight back to it and you just slot back into the same job you were doing. The reality is there's an impact on that. And as Michael just says, less videos is less income. And to be totally transparent with you guys, this one time only, because I'm not going to do this moving forwards ever again because I just find it crass. But the reality is that the videos that I've released this year have earned me £4,000. And I have been living off of the money that I had previously saved and the income from videos that have already released. And yeah, and essentially, yeah, I this is essentially like we're essentially in a position where like it's unsustainable, just because yeah, the income is not enough to cover my bills for the year. And if I were to have another year like that, I hopefully wouldn't, the channel would have to stop, basically, because I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. Well, it wouldn't stop. That's not strictly correct, because I'm very I've saved a lot. Like I'm like a saver person, and that the reality is it wouldn't, and I would probably use my savings to keep things going even if they weren't. But the reality is that looking at it just from the cold perspective of like your work and your income, the reality is that like yeah, I've only earned £4,000 this year, which is like very 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 low. The views on the older videos will not continue forever. Like I've got older videos that did really well that don't get like hardly any views anymore. You make maybe like £10 or £20 from them years after, and the reality is that happens to every video eventually. Like no matter how successful a video is, eventually people stop watching it. And yeah, and unfortunately the channel's been in a bit of a bad place where the Metroid video got demonetized by YouTube when it was doing like really well. It was like my most successful video, and then YouTube demonetized it for literally no reason, and I managed to get it fixed so it's remonetized now. But the reality is that it getting demonetized killed all of its momentum. And I spoke to my partner account manager, and like I don't mean to like throw shade on like YouTube and the partner manager, but like my partner manager was just completely shit about it. I was like do you understand that I've spent like 4 months working on something, and like YouTube has now incorrectly demonetized it, which has completely killed it. Like I'm screwed. And she was just like, oh yeah, I'll get people to check, and then like never got back to me. And I would email her and say like, what's the reason for this? Like, what's the recourse for this? And like just never, she just never ever got back to me. It was so frustrating. And then obviously the cancer stuff happens, and I'm only able to release 2 videos in 10 months, which is just a pretty brutal situation. So it's essentially to cut to the chase, I need to like make some changes on the channel. Like I need to change how I'm approaching things, at least in the short term, because the reality is that if I go from where we are now and I embark on like another like 6-hour, 7-hour long video production, and I spend 4 months out of action, working on a video, even if that video does really well, I'm probably still hurting the channel. And that's just like really frustrating, because I love making those videos, and those videos are my passion, and I think people like them, and I think people come to the channel for them. But the reality is I can't I can't do one for, I mean, at least a while. I need to like get the channel back up and running before I do that. So thanks again for the super chat. I really appreciate your generosity tonight. You've super chatted like 4-5 times. I really appreciate that. So essentially I'm making 2 like changes. So I'll do the nice one first. So the first one is that I'm making a change to how my Patreon works. So going forwards, I've been very conscious about how the fact that my Patreon this year, there's been people on there who have been supporting me for like a whole year, and they've only gotten 2 videos for their support, which is not like amazing. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm starting a new I'm going to start making the Patreon better value for money. So what's happening is now for every video that releases on YouTube, there will also be a video that releases exclusively for people who are backing the channel on Patreon. And I know some people will be like, oh, that's like content gating or whatever, but like the reality is that I want the Patreon to be better value for money, so that people feel like they want to subscribe to it because there's actual like benefits from being on there. It's not just like I want to throw like this channel that I really like just a few extra bucks. So yeah, so there's going to be a Patreon exclusive series. It's be called Patreon Curios, and essentially the first one is going live tomorrow. So there is a video that's going to be going live on Patreon called The Licensed Games That Should Not Be, which is essentially like a kind of mini retrospective. Essentially, they're going to be like themed videos, like a little bit weird. Like if you've seen my quickfire retrospectives on the channel, it's kind of just like slightly less cohesive than the main videos because they're not tied by a franchise, but they're still tied by a theme. So essentially, yeah. So this is a video. It's covering 4 games, and essentially the idea is it's licensed games that are surprisingly interesting or surprisingly good, that come out of strange places, and like the odd development stories that led to them being created, or the like weird quirks of their gameplay. And it's kind of just like a bit of a like kind of just like a fun, interesting change of pace, I guess. I think it's about 40 minutes long, and yeah, so that'll be going live tomorrow. So yeah, so I think at this point I should probably put the link to the Patreon in the chat, because I am kind of like, I guess I am kind of selling it. Aren't I? Like that is kind of what I'm doing, so I probably should do that. Let's copy the link to it. Oh god, is that it? Does that even work? Holy crap, did that go in? Oh, I think it did. Yes, cool. Yes. So yes, the link. So the link in the Patreon is to the link in the chat is to the Patreon. So yeah, if you want to subscribe on there, yeah, you'll be getting one exclusive video per video that publishes. Thank you so much as well to Aaron and Smarty and Emil. That's so generous of you with the super chats. That's really kind of you. Festus Quest NES 6-hour video. That's brutal. That would be horrible. But yeah, so that's something that I'm really excited about, because I've been thinking about the Patreon for a long time, like how I can make it more better value for money. Like I've done a few bits and bobs over the years, but I think this is actually a good way to take it. And so they'll be like loosely connected to the video. So sort of like how X-Men is like the X-Men franchise, but then this is like kind of about licensed games. And then for the next video, maybe I'll do like a 20-25 minute review of a game that's like covered in the franchise, but not in much detail. And I'll go into it in more detail in the Patreon. So yeah, so there will be a thing to it. These are videos that they'll be like, they're YouTube level videos. I'm putting the same amount of effort into them that I am into the retrospectives. It's just like a slice of those. So yeah, so 40 minutes rather than 5 hours. And yeah, and they'll only be on there, so you can see them that way. And then the second part of it is that, yes, so I need to increase the amount of videos that I am releasing. So there will be more frequent uploads of shorter videos. So the aim is that over the next 3 to 4 months, I'm aiming to release about 3 videos most likely, and I will be taking on a larger franchise. And even though I said I would never do this, I am going back on it. I am gonna split it up. So there's going to be a big franchise that I'm taking on within the next few months. And I'm not going to split it up into individual games, but it's going to be split up into like eras. So rather than it being a like 12-hour video about this franchise, it'll be more like 4 videos that separately tackle different eras of it. So I mean, it's like a shame because I always really wanted to just stick to doing the entire franchise in just one video. But the reality is that with the way like the year has gone and with the impact of the cancer situation and just needing the YouTube just desperately needing like more uploads so that the channel can find its feet again, I think I just the reality is I have to do this. And you know, maybe things within 6 to 8 months time, things looking different and we can go back to just big mega franchises. But the reality is that that's the way I'm going to do it. They'll still be big, they'll still be in depth. And the reality is I don't think this is actually that major of a change because I've done shorter videos like in the past. Like, you know, like if I look at the channel, you know, I'm just doing this for my own like sake. But like if I look at the channel, like Eternal Darkness, that's a great video. That's only 2 hours. Like I put that together in about 5 weeks, I think. Like it's a video game that I love. I think it's got super interesting story behind it, super interesting like gameplay to discuss. It's only 2 hours. I think I've maybe been guilty of like over the last year and a half of just thinking that I could only upload massive videos and that they were the only things that would get any attention whatsoever on YouTube. And the reality is that by doing that, I've accidentally I've now hit like a road bump that I have no control over, and I've sort of screwed myself because yeah, that's great if you are releasing these massive videos and you can dedicate every single day of your life to it. But when you're trying to get over surgery and deal with your impending cancer test results, it's just not possible. So this is a change I think I need to do like in the short term. I saw some more super chats that come through. I'm so sorry, guys. I keep missing them. Tan, what's up to your Patreon tonight? Stay strong, mate. My wife and I really enjoy your content. Thanks so much, Tan. I really appreciate that. Chim, maybe it's better to create a second channel for that so it won't mess with your main channel algorithm. I saw many other channels do that. Don't worry, they'll still be in the style of these videos, and they'll still be like 2.5, 3 hours long, maybe like a 3-hour long video if it's the right subject matter. But I don't think it will dramatically take away from the channel's algorithm. I'm almost certain of that. Madge as well. Hello, Madge. We will rebuild your momentum, but better than ever. Your outward-facing positivity of the past year has been incredible. There's an amazing future in store for you and your channel. Oh, thanks, man. I really, really appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. It means a lot, and you're a really good friend as well, man. Like for those of you in the chat who are not subscribed to Madge's channel, like you gotta go check it out because I mean he makes great content, but also he's just a really like great guy. He's been like an amazing friend throughout this process. So yeah, just keep him in mind. About reposting a full version later so you can make even more views. Yeah, but I mean, potentially it's something. I mean, but although I think with the idea with splitting these larger franchises up into eras, like I'm not even necessarily sure that that's even like necessary because, you know, I think a big video that covers like this isn't what I'm doing, right? So cool yourself. But if I did a video that covered, say, Dragon Quest in the 80s and then Dragon Quest in the 90s, like I don't think they need to be stitched together to like game the algorithm, because I think the idea would be that they stand on their own 2 feet and you can watch them all back to back if you want. Like I mean, it'd probably be more like these episodes coming out over the course of say like a year and a half, and there's excitement, there's interest for the next episode to drop, you know. And I think it's not. It sounds like it'll be like a huge departure from what we're doing, but it's really not. Like, you know, the reality is that I'm, you know, let's say we do like Final Fantasy 1 through, we do like the 2D Final Fantasies. That's a big video. Like, that's a big detailed video. We're just not doing every single Final Fantasy in one video, because the reality is, like, that's 5 to 6 months worth of, I mean, Final Fantasy would be more than that. Final Fantasy would be like 7 or 8 months worth of work. And the reality is that I just, where things are at the moment, I can't afford to be gone for that long. Like, I need to have a bit more of a consistent upload schedule for like a good 6 months or so that we can get things moving again. Like, so YouTube needs to be like reminded that the channel is here and like is still uploading videos. So I think it'll be fine. Like, this is one of those things that probably sounds scary, but like it's not. It'll be a good thing, because the reality is I can't rely on older videos keeping things ticking over, you know. Whether it's a 7-hour Castlevania video or a 7 1-hour Castlevania videos, your content is epic. We would still watch it. Oh, thanks very much, Alex. I really appreciate it. That's really kind of you. But yeah, so I've got about 4 videos that are sort of like lined up. Got one that I'm working on that I was hinted at the end of the X-Men video. I've got another. So another thing that I should probably talk about is that I'm looking to kind of like incorporate some. Well, I guess I could spoil it. I mean, to be fair, there's 400 people in the stream at the moment, which is fucking nuts. So maybe it would be cool if I spoil this upcoming video, because I guess I'm not going to have like a more hype moment to announce it. But essentially, along with the lengthy retrospectives, I'm going to dabble in some not. It's not like, I wouldn't call it a video essay. Oh damn, your favorite son as well. All the boys are coming in here. Great to see you doing well. Excited to see the new format and what it does for the channel. Thanks so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. That's really kind of you. And you guys have got to go check out Son's channel as well. I've turned into like a sort of really lame, annoying lurker in his Friday streams, just popping out because I'm always doing work like late at night when they're streaming. So I always jump in and just spout nonsense in their chat. So yeah, but yeah, so I saw someone in the chat say you should reveal the spoiler in the Patreon to encourage people to subscribe to the Patreon. I should do, but it'll probably be nicer to do it here. So I'm gonna try and dabble in some. I guess it's not like I wouldn't call it a video essay, but like I would say it's more like a kind of themed video, I would say. So basically what I'm gonna do is should I get up the thumbnail? Maybe I should get up the thumbnail. Maybe that would be cool to share. I just got to make sure I show off the right thumbnail. I don't like accidentally spoil like the next 4 months worth of the channel. Where is it? Here it is. Right. If I do this, right there it is. So I'm a bit low. So essentially, yeah, like a kind of themed video essay, investigation, grab bag style video, exploring the relationship between heavy metal and video games. Kind of, like, let's just get that out of here for now. Like doing like covering games like you know, like obviously there's games like there's obviously Doom and there's you know, Brutal Legend, but then also like licensed games by metal bands, like discussing when like how licensed music impacts the popularity of games, so like the Tony Hawk series and stuff like that. Talking about like cameos in games, so like, you know, like Avenged Sevenfold featuring in Call of Duty, or like Trivium and Killswitch Engage being involved in the tie-in EP to God of War 3, things like that. There's a lot to cover there. And so it's kind of like elements of it are going to be like video essay, elements of it are going to be like sort of like a themed grab bag video. But yeah, and so essentially you can kind of see how like that's a video that like is shorter than the ones that I have been making. But it's still, I still feel like it's like in keeping with the style of the channel. Like, okay, it's not a lengthy retrospective, but I still think it's like in the style of the channel. So you can see how like, you know, there's ways that I can do this where I'll be able to upload more frequently, but without like ruining what makes the channel special, which is like looking at games, looking at the development of games, looking at the context, like appreciating games in their context, and like, you know, taking that kind of approach to games. I think we can do that without every single video having to be 5 or 6 hours long. And I think videos like that can contribute to it. So yeah, that's the first one I'll be working on, and the hope is that, all things considered, like, you know, I only have my monitoring to do at the hospital. I have no more treatment booked. We know now I'm not going to be doing immunotherapy. I mean, unless I go for one of these tests and they immediately find like recurrent cancer there, which I think is not going to happen. I'm probably going to have a clear run through to the end of the year into January as well. So yeah, I think with all things clear, I really hope that that I can get 2 videos out by the end of the year. I can get the next lengthy retrospective, which I'm gonna keep stum for now. I'm not gonna reveal what that one is, but yeah, hopefully I can get these 2 videos out. And yeah, so yeah, so that's the plan, really. That's the plan. I think it like makes sense, and I feel like I've got like the energy to do it. I feel like knowing that I don't have any more treatment, knowing that like all I have to do with the surgery is just wait and that will be sorted. I feel like I've had like more of a spring in my step. I've got more energy and I've got more like positivity around this. Like I feel like I've got a purpose, and I think that's really helping. So yeah, so if there's any worries about like, oh, like overworking yourself and stuff with what you've just been through, like I really don't think you need to worry about that. Like I think when you look at how much time is left in the year and how much time the videos should take to make, I don't think it's too bad. And I think it'll be good to be back to consistently working, not trying to put together a video like just when I'm like healthy or when I've got the energy for it and stuff. Like I think that's just like something I just want to put in the past. I just want to work on it. I want to put some more videos out and just get back to like doing what I like enjoy doing. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it too. So yeah, so I would kill for you to make Let's Play content. I mean, Let's Play content is pretty cool, but I think the only problem is that I think it's not really viable on YouTube. Like the amount of effort it takes to put together, I think like it's kind of got killed by streaming, really. Like it's a shame because I really enjoy Let's Play content. Like to be totally honest, I love sticking on a Let's Play like and just enjoying like people enjoying a game more than streaming, to be honest. Sometimes I find the live environment sometimes a bit like intense, but yeah, I'm not sure I would ever be able to make good Let's Play content, especially in like the current YouTube world. I mean, and as for streaming, like I think that just like I would like to do more streams because I think it's just one of these things that like channels, so you just sort of like have to. It's a bit weird. Like, I don't think I'm particularly good like on camera, like in a live environment. I don't think I'm like particularly interesting to listen to. But like especially not playing games weirdly. I think I suck at playing games in front of people. I've tried it in the past. I just think I don't, it's just not entertaining. But like but I think just like some streams like this that are just a bit more like casual maybe would be okay. I would really like to do like a cancer charity stream like before the end of the year. But like it's one of these things where I only want to do it if like I can do it, like if I know I can do it like well, like get some good guests on, get like get some fun ideas for stuff to do, like think of a way to actually do it where I could actually like raise like some like good money for like a good cause. It's also tricky as well because the thing with raising money for cancer charity is you want to make it viable as well, so that like people feel like they can donate money from like around the world. It feels a bit weird to necessarily do it for like, say like Macmillan is like a really big cancer charity in the UK who have helped me a lot, and while it would be amazing to raise money for them, I would almost feel a bit like weird taking money from people who like live so far away from that and are never going to see the benefit of that. Although saying that, you would hope that but that doesn't really make sense, because if you are donating money to the cancer charity, you would hope that you never have to like use the cancer charity anyway. So that's probably just me being over anxious about that. I think that's probably fine. There was a few more super chats that came through. Gary, been watching your Castlevania video for the second time today, and I don't even like Castlevania. Your videos are that good. Oh, thanks so much, man. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people have been watching Castlevania in the like Halloween spirit. But that's a great example of like why I need to like make these little changes to the channel, because because I released the Castlevania video like almost 2 years ago. Like I can't have like an October where I'm like, oh yeah, it's cool, like Castlevania is doing well. Like it's like the perfect example. And Andrew, Platinum Survivor Trophy gained. Thanks very much, my friend. I really appreciate it. Yeah, David said as long as what the charity is and it's upfront, I don't see an issue. I think that's right. Yeah, as long as I don't like put all the money from the charity stream in a bank account and never donate it, and just keep quiet and keep doing the charity stream every single year, slowly totting up the money in the account and never mentioning it. I'm pretty sure as long as I can avoid doing that, I'll probably be fine. It's a pretty low bar to clear, isn't it? Like, too soon, bro. Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard. It just goes to show, like, I just talking about like really worrying about like how to do a charity stream right. But I think in order to do a charity stream right on YouTube, all you have to do is just donate the money to charity, and you're pretty much fine. Diego asked, any plans to review the new Indiana Jones game using the short format like the new Prince of Persia? Yeah, I mean, I would very much like to. It's tricky because I've got these two videos that I'm like working on and planning, and I think they'll probably absorb most of the time that I've got left in the year. But I would really like to. Like, I was wondering about maybe if I could do like a stream like of the Indiana Jones game when it comes out. But then I'm like, yeah, then like I was saying earlier, I don't think I'm very good at like streaming games for people to watch. So it's a bit tricky. I don't really know what to do. I would really like to cover it, but then it's like, if I'm not covering it immediately, I'm probably better off waiting and covering it later. Like, you know, so I'm a bit torn on what to do. I mean, I'm definitely going to play it for myself because I want to. I love Indiana Jones and it looks amazing. But yeah, in terms of incorporating it into YouTube, it's a bit weird. I'll be honest, I don't mean this to sound weird, but I did sort of think that I would maybe like had a chance of being involved in like the initial wave of uh of reviews. But I emailed Machine Games and Bethesda, and neither of them ever got back to me. I was kind of disappointed, to be honest, because like I don't mean this as like a like brag, but I think I've done quite a lot to like elevate like Indiana Jones video games, like, you know, on YouTube, and not in general. I don't mean in general, but on YouTube. Like I've gotten a lot of eyes on it. Okay, like maybe 3 or 4 million of those are people that are asleep, so maybe that doesn't count. But even if we subtract them, that's still quite a large amount of attention being given to Indiana Jones video games. So I kind of thought that when I emailed them and said like, oh hey, is there any opportunity to like cover this in like a review sense, I kind of thought they would come back and be like, yes, we would like to include you in that, because I've had those offers before from companies. Like it's not like a completely out of the blue thing. I thought they would get back to me, and they didn't. So I'm going to be enjoying it like everyone else. But yeah, I don't mean that in a like, oh, they should have given it to me, like I'm entitled because I made this video. I just thought it would be like a good fit. Like, you know, like I think I've got a good audience of people interested in Indiana Jones here. And yeah, I would, although I might get accused of being a shill as well though, mightn't I? Because like I would almost certainly find it very hard to give it a bad review. Just from it being Indiana Jones. Like if I'm giving a good review to like if I'm like finding the positives in like young Indiana Jones adventures and like talking about like Infernal Machine like as if it's like an amazing video game achievement, like the Machine Games one is going to end up with like a sort of 12 out of 10 review. So it's probably for the best that I don't review it. I can just avoid being accused of like being bought and paid for. When the reality is that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, they secured that loyalty years and years ago, decades ago. So yeah, so that is pretty much it in terms of what I've got to go over. I guess I should probably just remind, just for anyone else that's coming in, like the real big announcement in terms of new stuff. I'm starting a new series over on Patreon Curios. Like for every video that gets uploaded to the channel, a video is going to be uploaded to Patreon as well. There's one going live tomorrow. It's called The Licensed Games That Should Not Be. It's about weird licensed games that just came out of odd pairings or weird studios or crazy fortuitous things. Or there's a game in there that's like, it doesn't seem weird on the surface because it's become quite a ubiquitous game. But like when you actually look at the circumstances that led to its development, it's like, how was this a success? So it's that sort of thing, and that's going live on Patreon tomorrow evening. So if you would like to subscribe to the Patreon, the link is there. And I'm going to. Oh, sorry, I should have said this as well. I'm going to. Oh shit! Actually, that's really bad. I should have done this earlier. Oh, especially because someone has. Oh, I'm sure there's a way to sort it. I was gonna say I was gonna reduce the cost of the Patreon. I was gonna do like what's it called, like a offer. You can do it where you do like an offer where you if you're a free member on Patreon, you can like knock like $3 off it or something like that, and you can do that. And annoyingly, someone has already subscribed to it, so I need to like refund them and then give them the new rate. Yeah, so maybe go on it, become a free member, and then when I put the offer on, then subscribe. Don't do it right now, because and then I'll have to refund you. I'll have to refund you guys. I'll find a way to make it work. Yeah, or maybe I just don't do the offer. Although that seems like a bit of a stupid idea. I'll find a way to make it work. But yeah, I guess that's about it. That's the past, present, and the future of I finished a video game. That's my story dealing with cancer, getting cancer, and the surgeries and the recovery and the ongoing stuff, and yeah, and what the channel is gonna look like going forward, like being slightly more active, slightly more regular uploads, I guess. Probably not regular because they'll be done when they're done, but more often. And yeah, and hopefully you guys won't have to wait a whole year to see 2 more videos on the channel. Hopefully we kick on and year, is it 3? I think it'll be year 3. How many years have I even been on YouTube? 3. It'll be year 4. Year 4 of I finished a video game will be like really nice and positive, and I'll have some cool videos for you guys that are like unique and interesting, and yeah, just yeah, hopefully things are nice and positive. This is the thing, I was a bit concerned because when I put the stream on, I thought it looked like everyone was like saying goodbye, and I was like, I'm not retiring. I'm literally announcing new stuff. I think I've done it too morosely, where like I've made it seem too intense, but it's like weird, isn't it? Because like I don't want to like downplay the cancer stuff, but yeah, but I don't want it to be like really negative. Like it's positive. Like the changes are positive, the future's really positive. I just seen another super chat come in. Anthony, thank you so much, my friend. I really, really appreciate that. You guys have been like ridiculously generous with the super chats tonight. I don't know what to say. Like, thank you so much to everyone who's super chatted. You said you had bad news. Well, this is the thing. I don't want to come out and be like, oh, oh, the cancer situation is like amazing, it's so good, like I'm all clear, like everything's sorted, because it's like it's not, that's not really like the story of it. I wanted to like do it justice to explain like the thought process going into like the future. Oh, I mean, have I over egged it? Is that I thought that made sense, but I don't know. Maybe that only made sense to me. I thought that was a reasonable way of framing it. I don't want to what's it? Drama bait? I guess it's drama bait. But yeah. Yeah. But that's that, I guess. I don't really have much more to say. I guess we can I was going to stream for a little bit longer than this, so I guess I'll open the floor up to questions. There's a big election going on at the moment. Not that I'm going to talk about the election, but it means that the town hall is very in fashion at the moment. So I guess now that my piece is done, I can open the floor to any questions. When YouTubers say the future of the channel, they often mean quitting. Oh right, okay. I guess I can see that. I just genuinely meant like the past, the present, the future. Like the cancer stuff's the past, the situation with the channel as it is the present, and here's my plan for the future. That's kind of how I meant it. Maybe that didn't come across. Are there any pre-retrospective videos you might re-upload or remake? Maybe, maybe not. I do sometimes think about the Nuzlocke video. I thought that was quite good. That was like one of the first videos that I put real effort into. I took it down because it just didn't really like click with the tone of the rest of the channel. So I took it down. I probably wouldn't re-upload it just because that issue would still be the same. Like the tone of it is like quite different. Like it had little acted, like I was on camera a lot more in it, and I don't really think that is the vibe of the channel. I don't really think that's why people come to it. So maybe not. But I do sometimes think about redoing the Prince of Persia video, especially because obviously the Lost Crown has come out, and there's been the roguelike one as well. But I'd probably leave that until the Sands of Time remake comes out. But then the trouble with that is that Ubisoft are in such such dire straits at the moment. Like, is that game ever going to come out? Like, I I do want to release that video, but yeah, it's just a matter of when. But then it's tricky because it's tough with retrospectives because like I think that there's a lot of like competition on YouTube now. Like when I first started, this was really like very, very, very niche, like very niche. You know, not many people uploaded like long videos. Not many people went into like these kind of like more, I guess, like strange series. Like there was a lot of like coverage of like popular in-depth ones, so I felt quite confident that every time I put out a new video I was like striking into like uncharted territory. But like it's quite a lot more like it's a lot more of a crowded space these days. Like there's a lot of channels that upload videos like this, so I have to be like a bit careful with like what I put time into. I sometimes think like a Prince of Persia video, even though I would really like to remake the video, what would be, it would probably just not do that great. Yeah, Centum as well just said, didn't Nick 930 announce a Prince of Persia video recently? Yes, that's just reminded me that he did as well. And so like there's really like no point. And there's still plenty of stuff out there for me to cover. And that's why the really long videos are like they're not gonna ever go away, because the reality is that like when I eventually get round to doing like, I don't know, a 12-hour long Resident Evil video, like there isn't actually that many people who will make that video. So I mean, is there even a video out there? I mean, I'm not gonna look for it now. I don't know why I started doing that, but or like a Mega Man video that has every single game covered in that, does like the whole series like justice, from like the boom to the complicated transition to 3D to the spin-offs and everything. Like those videos are still going to be like really, really important, but it's just that like, yeah, for the next few months I think I need to not. Noah Caldwell Gervais has a Resident Evil video. That's true, but I wouldn't. I think that's like that's not his style. Is quite like unique. Like I don't think that the two videos are really in like competition, if that makes sense. Like his are very like personal and like very much driven by like his experience and like his like, I guess like opinions, I suppose. So are mine, but like they're very different in like tone. I don't think they would necessarily be in competition. Mega Man mentioned. I mean, a Mega Man video would be good. I would love to do that. But I mean, really, that's a perfect example of like a video that might benefit from like more of an eras approach, because it's like 50 plus games. Like Battle Network alone would take hundreds of hours to cover. Like, how's that going to work with a video that needs a channel that needs to upload more than once a year. You know. It's something that, like I said though, it's not going away. Like I'm still gonna do that. I'll still do one like next year. But it's like it's just you know, got to do them when it's right. Metal Gear Solid video when? I mean, I would really like to do that as well. But like again, there's probably no point until the Delta remake comes out. It's a bit like I'm a huge Silent Hill fan. Like I would love to do a Silent Hill video, but like again, there's just no point while like 2 remake is like settling and like need F to come out. Like it's just there's no point when you know there's like games on the horizon. There's no point doing it. Like I thought a lot about. I would really like to do a video on the Fable series, because yeah, Lionhead, like especially growing up in the UK, like Lionhead were like just such a studio that like everybody loved, and like the amount of like just like little nods to like British fantasy culture that are in there. I absolutely love that series, even with its like odd quirks. And I find Peter Molyneux to be such like a captivating person. He's so weird, like he's so hateable but likable at the same time. I really like him as a character for a video. But there's just no point because like there's a new game coming out in like I guess maybe next year, probably next year, or if not like soon after that. So it's just like there's no point making that video because like whatever narrative you create, like it's going to change because there's a big new game coming out. So yeah, that's one to do maybe like when that's out. But yeah, that is something that's on my radar. Yeah, I don't know. I think the next few that I've got planned, I think people will enjoy. The next one as well, I think will be good. I don't know when to reveal what it is. Ninja Gaiden, an easy retrospective would be great. I think calling Ninja Gaiden an easy retrospective is the understatement of the year. Ninja Gaiden, easy to write about, fucking impossible to like play through and capture the footage of. You know. Oh, if a big game is coming out and you do a video about the franchise, it could help your video with views. That is true, but that's also that is true, but I don't know. At the same time, it's not the way I like to make the videos. I like them when the series is kind of like not in stasis, but like when it's kind of like set and there's an actual story to tell. That's the ones that I really like vibe with. They're the ones that I really love putting together. I sometimes think, yeah, I don't. It always irked me a bit that where is it? Which one is it? Lord of the Rings. Like my Lord of the Rings video, it really irked me that I did it and I put all this work into it and writing it, and then they just announced like a slew of games afterwards, and there's like 3 games now that are missing from the video, and one of them is Lord of the Rings Gollum, which like is so such a big miss to not have in the video. You know, because that's like such an important part of the Lord of the Rings video game story. Like the game that was like hated but is actually like funny to play through. Like it's actually like a good video game to play, even though it's a bad video game. Like, and yeah, it's just like that would have been so good to be able to talk about in that video. It annoys me so much that it's not in there. How important is 100% finishing every game in a retrospective? Well, it depends what you mean by 100%. Like 100%, it's not that important. Like, but finishing a game, yeah, that's hugely important. Yeah, I finish all of the games that I play. Like it's a lot of the time like a huge pain in the ass. Like I wish I hadn't like phrased the channel in that way, because sometimes I wish I didn't have to play through them. Like the amount of time, especially for the X-Men video, fucking X2 Wolverine's Revenge. I think that is, I honestly, I know I say this in every single video. I know I said this in Onimusha 2 because of the Nobunaga fight at the end of Onimusha 2. I think I said it in Metroid as well because of the Spider Guardian as well, and the GameCube version of Echoes 2. But X2 Wolverine's Revenge, I think that's the hardest game ever made. Seriously. I didn't really know like anything about it before I went into this video, so I didn't really know that like know that it had this like punishing like design, and I think that's the hardest. If it's not the hardest game of all time, I think it's the hardest 3D game of all time. That's probably a better way of putting it. Like the fact that there's no checkpoints, the fact that there's no manual saving, the fact that Wolverine dies so quickly, and the fact that the only way that you can heal is by like standing fully still and waiting like I can't remember exactly what it is. It's like 1:30 or 2 minutes or something like that where your health regenerates. Like even if it's not like mechanically hard, the fact that you have to go through this endless process of like standing still and like waiting for your health to regenerate, it just means that when you do fail, like it feels so much worse. So like yeah, you might probably die more in like, I don't know, Elden Ring or something like that, but it's just like, yeah, it's just horrible. It's just horrible. If you can do X2, you can do Ninja Gaiden. That's another reason why I don't really like streaming games either, because like I think if I streamed like my experience of playing through X2 Wolverine's Revenge, like that's not going to be a good watch. That's going to be like unbelievably negative, like non-stop like swearing and frustration and anger, and like, and I'm someone that loves video games, like, and there's just no way that you can hold in your emotions when you're doing that. It could well be, to be honest, that was extra bad as well, because obviously with everything I was going through at the time, like I think when did I record that? I think that was before my surgery. I recorded that one, so I think maybe it wouldn't have been that bad. In fact, I think actually I managed to clear out most of the hard ones by the time I'd had my surgery. I think Legends 2, I want to say, was the first game I did after my surgery. Well, that might not be right. I don't know. I can't remember. Yes. Jesus Christ. So yeah, so I'm not sure that would necessarily be like a good watch. I'm not sure that's what I want people thinking of me, like raging and angry. But maybe it would be fun to. It would be fun to do like a stream where I could get like. I wish I could do a stream where like I got like someone else to play it for me. I think I would be pretty good on camera, like with someone else if they were playing through the game. I think I could be like a good cheerleader and like hype man for someone playing through it. But I think myself, I'm not so sure I want to do that to myself. Do you use original hardware or emulation? So originally I did original hardware, but it's just too like finicky, like capturing footage, especially on like older games. Like it's just not. It like lessens your scope of what you can cover as well. That always really annoyed me. So I've since switched to emulation, which I know isn't quite as like authentic, but I think it gives you more scope for what you can cover, and it makes like in general it makes like the just a recording process like run much more smoothly. Like I've got a decent setup for like original hardware down there. I've got my like my retro tink and stuff, and like my Elgato is all runs like perfectly well, and I've got like a couple of well, I've got a fair few consoles now. I think at the moment, I've only got my Dreamcast and PS2 hooked up. But yeah, it's just a bit of a pain in the ass to capture footage off of them, because if something goes wrong and you lose footage, it's like you have to really plan around recapturing the footage and stuff, and going back and capturing elements is like a huge pain in the ass as well when you need footage. And it's just like, yeah, I don't think the emulation experience is that different. Like as long as you're conscious of it when you're doing the video, which obviously sometimes I can accidentally I let a huge one slip into the X-Men video actually. And actually this is funny because I accidentally let a huge mistake from using emulation slip into the X-Men video, and it like in the Reddit thread where someone posted the video on Reddit, it was like the main discussion was just about this fuck up on my part. It was so stupid. Like I was just like, how has someone noticed that? Basically I was talking about X-Men on the Sega Genesis, and I instead of saying that you changed your character from using like the Genesis middle, like what even I can't even remember what it's called on Genesis, the middle button. It's not start, it's like, maybe it is start, I can't remember. But whatever it is, I said select like as I was writing it, and like the first comment on the Reddit thread was just about that, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, of course. Like I've spent weeks like editing and re-editing this script, like trying to make sure that everything's like spot on, trying to make sure that the like video has no mistakes in it, and then I've just accidentally let in this stupid emulation mistake into the script. It's so annoying. What I need to do is have like a different controller for each console so that never happens again. I'm usually pretty good for doing it as well. Like I'm when I'm talking about console, I'll specifically talk about like what the buttons are and the control scheme and stuff. Like I think I never really make that mistake ever. It's just so annoying that the one time I make it, it gets like spoken about loads. Hey man, cheers from Brazil. Editora, thank you very much, man. Thanks for coming in and saying hello. I think that what is the time? It's 10 to 9. So I've been streaming for a couple of hours. Yeah, maybe I will think about ending soon. Have you played Still Wakes the Deep? That's a good game for the Halloween season. No, I haven't. But is that the one that's Still Wakes the Deep? Is that the one that's like it's like set in Scotland on like an oil rig? Yeah, by the Chinese room. Yeah, this looked cool. I have it on my radar, but I haven't played through it. I've heard that it's good though. My evening tomorrow is going to be taken up with Silent Hill 2 remake. I've got my oldest friend. I've got this little. We have this little tradition. My oldest friend. Sadly, he lives in a different city now, but we did live in the same city for a very long time. We had this old. Just before I start on that story, Mithril, do you know Jet Set Willy? Yes, I do. I used to play Jet Set Willy a lot I have beloved memories of Jet Set Willy because me and a colleague who I was very close with, who unfortunately has passed away, me and him used to secretly play Jet Set Willy at work in a browser. So he was a bit older than me, and we would talk about video games, and he would talk about how he loved his Spectrum, and he used to play Jet Set Willy. So we got it up in a browser, and we would play Jet Set Willy when we were supposed to be working. So yes, funny you say that. I have very fond memories of that game, especially because he sadly took his own life a couple of years ago. So I cherish those memories a lot. They're very special to me. Anyway, what was I saying before that? Yes, I was saying I got this my oldest friend. Yeah, we got this tradition of playing through horror games. We get together and just stay up all night playing through a horror game, single player horror games, taking it in turns like the good old days, passing the controller back and forth when you die. Except obviously we drink alcohol as we're doing it, which we never used to do as children. But yeah, we don't get to do it as much now because obviously we live in different cities. But he's coming up tomorrow as a sort of cancer sort of celebration kind of thing, and we're gonna play Silent Hill 2, which is a bit weird because I have been thinking about it, but that might not actually fit like the vibe of the night that well, because obviously like it's kind of the weird situation where for the sake of for the sake of the atmosphere in the house, it would probably be better if the game is like more action focused and more horror focused and less like psychological like Silent Hill 2-ness, because that might be a bit like intense for us, like sitting drinking beers, like watching like James ponder his past transgressions. But I don't know, we're gonna do it anyway because like we did it when Silent Hill 2 came out. We did that when we were young'uns. So it'll be a fun way to come full circle on that, because I'm one of the sickos that played Silent Hill 2 when it originally released. I bought it secondhand. I didn't buy it when it released, to be fair. I think I must have bought it a year or so after, because I bought it secondhand. I'm pretty sure I still got my copy. Here it is. It's so battered up. Look how battered up the edges of that are. You can tell I used to carry that around in my bag. I think the disc is like so scratched as well. Maybe I bought it a while after. It kind of released as the 2-disc set. I wonder if that's right. Maybe it was a couple years after. I wonder when that released. Silent Hill 2 disc edition. When did that release? November 2001. Isn't that when the original came out? No, not the remake, the original. Oh no, yeah. PAL, November 2001. Oh shit. Yeah, so that was on release. I definitely didn't buy it on release though. Like it must have been like a while after, because I definitely bought it secondhand. How old would I have even been? Like 12 or 13? Oh, that's quite young for Silent Hill 2, actually. I'm not sure. I don't know what the. How did I even get hold of it? How did I even buy it? They must have just sold it to me and not given a shit. God, video game stores back in the early 2000s, where they're just run by your local video game enthusiast, and he doesn't give a shit what age you are, as long as you enjoy video games. Is it an 18? Is it a 15? Oh, it's a 15. Okay, that's not so bad. It's a 15. So maybe he just thought I was 15. I'm not sure if I would be able to tell the difference between a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old now. Although, no, would I have been? No, I must have been younger than that. Who fucking knows? Well, anyway, the point is I had a copy and I was playing on my PlayStation 2, which was my console at the time. So it can't have been that long after, can it? Yeah. Anyway, and that's not even the main point I was trying to make. The main point I was trying to make was that we played that when we were kids, and we're going to play the remake now as adults. That was the point I was trying to make. In a very, very, very roundabout rambly way. Can you tell that I make videos for a living, just talking absolute nonsense? Okay, cool. I think on that note, it's 9 o'clock. We've been streaming for 2 hours. I think we will bring the stream to an end. If that's all right with all of you guys. It's been, well, I mean, it's not entirely been fun, because retelling the story of my cancer experience was not particularly fun. But I think it was good to talk to lay it all out there. I think it was good to talk about it. Like, I feel I don't know, not lighter per se, but like, I don't know, it's just good to say like it's, well, I want to say it's done, but it's not done. So it's like, I don't really know what the point of that was. I guess just to inform people, I guess just to tell people that's how it goes. But that wasn't very nice. And talking about the present of the future, that was also not that nice either. But I feel positive about the future, and I feel happy. I feel like I had a good time talking it through with everyone. So that means it must have done some good, like, deep down somewhere, right? I think that must be fine. So yeah, I guess we'll leave it there. That's the state of the channel. That's where we're at. What's coming is more videos. What's coming is a greater focus on Patreon, and on making sure that, like, the Patreon is, like, worthwhile and something that is good value for money and has interesting stuff on it that would make you want to subscribe to it. But yeah, exactly as Maj says, here's to the future. Exactly, here's to the future indeed. That's how we're going to look to it, and I feel really positive about that. I know I don't have to have any more surgery. I know I don't have to have any treatment, at least very soon. And yeah, I can just focus on doing what I enjoy doing, which is, having my life and having, like, an amazing partner and an amazing job, and just, yeah, making the most of it while it's here. Because the lesson I've learned from this year is that it can very, very quickly not be here. So I guess my new view is to just appreciate it and to do it more often. So yeah. So with that, I guess I'll see you when I see you guys next. So yeah, there'll be a video going live on Patreon tomorrow. The licensed games that should not be. And yeah, it's only on Patreon, so if you want to watch it, you can go over and subscribe on there. And the next video on the channel, I guess there'll be updates about it when I've got them ready to share, which should hopefully not be too far away. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I guess, maybe. So yeah. So I'll see you guys soon. Have a nice night or morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Thanks for coming and saying hello. Massive thanks to the people who super chatted as well. That was extremely generous of you guys. I really, really appreciate that. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time I do a stream. Who knows when that'll be? Maybe Halloween. Maybe not. Who knows? All right. Bye-bye.